Good afternoon. Thanks to everyone who's attending this afternoon's webinar. So my name is Matt Mimo. I am the founder of TARDIS Wholesale, and today I'll be talking a little bit around how to maximise your profit as an IT business and also a telecommunications provider. You could be an ISP, you could be an MSP, you could just be simply a mobile broadband reseller. Today I will be giving you some insights as to what we do and how, of course, you can benefit from it. Matt Mimo is not my real name. For some of you who are, of course, attending today, my real name is Matt Sutton. The company is called TARDIS, and we are operating out of London. Historically, been a vertical supplier around satellite, and as, of course, technology has evolved, we've then, of course, now into 5G. And in fact, we have the most connections as an ISP for partners outside of the major networks. That was a stat that I was given by two of our M&O partners only 3 weeks ago. So for us to be in that position, incredibly exciting. But of course, for you guys that are partners of TARDIS that have logged in today, massive thank you to you as well. Without you, we wouldn't be where we are. And again, just a shout out to you guys that are logged in today. Now, just quickly moving on. So the title of today's webinar, as I've already alluded to, however, one of the other things that I really want to get across is some of the greatest challenges that are faced in today's world in IT and MSPs. It's become a saturated market. COVID has acted as a real catalyst for, could argue for some of the wrong reasons, but also from an innovation perspective for all the right reasons too. So the summary of today, business operations have drastically changed in the last 24 months, massively. And if you disagree with that, I would love to hear why in the comments, please. Companies by circumstance have in fact been put in positions where they have to enable flexible working. Not all employers are able, or were able, of course, to offer flexible working. And of course, mobile connectivity was a massive part of that. And again, thanks to the channel, thanks to you guys, thanks to companies like us, we in fact made a huge difference to businesses helping flexible working. However, there have been new problems to overcome. As I always say, for those that have logged in and know me quite well, adapt or die. So, how COVID changed business to business, B2B. Digital, proactive and self-service. Three key areas that a lot of companies, I think, have struggled with, purely just simply for not knowing entirely how to engage and react to circumstance. And this is, again, where adapt or die is so key. So digital, the amount of pressure on partners in today's world is huge, massive. But how many of you as partners can deliver as you would expect from a customer's perspective in today's digital world? I know a lot of companies that are reactive, which is right now not the best way forward. If you are reacting to a particular problem, of course, you're supporting it, that's reactional, expected. But from a sales and operational perspective, if you have the capacity, make sure you're proactive. From a customer service level, it is huge and it goes a long way. Self-serve. Now, self-serve is, so for those that don't know, LT's is leadership team. So companies today need to really engage with software companies. Or if you don't know of a software company, feel free to reach out to me or send me an email or visit the website at the bottom on the banner. We are no longer just a connectivity business. We're very much now a software business. We've got 6 coders internally, and we are helping partners leverage in other ways. So as per the bottom one, raw or white labeled, US partners, if it's one thing they take out of today, really consider software and how your partner and how your resellers and end users can in fact interact and benefit from what you're pushing today. So again, without pushing too much on COVID, there has been a big change and it's changing how people are working. Emerging customer trends have impacted on a number of key areas. Software utilization is, of course, a big part of that. You can't escape it. It's just how the world is going. In terms of pricing, commercials, well, the rate card, as we all call it in the channel, has in fact come under question and scrutiny, particularly in the last 18 months, certainly in the last 12 months. And that's generally because we've now got more saturation, there's more services available, and people are always after the best price, regardless of how big their estate of SIMs, routers, CCTV cameras, even IoT sensors are. And of course, the bottom point on that is around if you do have resellers from your partner perspective, and they're asking you for software or platform, some sort of connectivity that they can manage. There are a whole host of companies in the channel, as you are all aware, doing this, UK and across Europe, even in North America, we've got partners coming to us for UK connections. If they don't have something organic, it makes it incredibly challenging for you to offer another value add throughout the chain. And again, this is an area where TARDIS have really innovated with custom domains and white labelling, well, various partners, maritime, mobile broadband, even IoT. At the moment, we're making some big waves and we are disrupting the industry in areas. So watch this space. Another key area that we are working on is customer services. So one of the things that we've come under, I wouldn't say scrutiny, but one of the things that we've recognised intrinsically as our own business is when the sticky stuff does hit the fan, and we all know it does, just the nature of our business, worst case scenario, the network goes down, we of course cannot react with that or deal with that. However, customer service is a big area where partners can win and of course lose accounts. And this is something that we are trying to improve ourselves. I think for those of you that have logged in today, I can see some of you guys here I've been in engagement with for some period of time, some not as long, but I think our customer services are pretty good. Please put in the comments if that's not right and you disagree with that. I'd love to hear. I actually like negative feedback. Of course, everyone likes positive feedback, but the negatives allows us to improve. And of course, your customers will feel the same. So one of the key areas here is you are only as good as your recent win or your recent loss. Now, everyone has a win, everyone has a loss. Have any of you logging in today got any examples of where you had a good win and why? Or more importantly, why you lost an opportunity and why? If you have lost opportunities, and you do know, of course, the reasons why you have lost them, software, customer services, you've not had the right pricing, put it in the comments, or if you'd like, email me at matt@tardis.uk.com and I'll be more than happy to give you some free advice. If you need me to act as a consultant in areas, then of course, please reach out. So customer experience is now a part of customer service. If you haven't offered and provided your partner or your reseller or end-to-end customer a good experience, you tell me why they're more likely to stay with you. Quite simple. I'll let you to think about it. But of course, good customer experience then means you've got more loyalty, word of mouth, and suddenly it begins to branch out. Therefore, more revenue. Now, started off this webinar talking around COVID, the changes it's forced upon everyone. Now, a lot of us here in this space have in fact provided connectivity for work from home users, whether that be for the NHS, broadcasters, all sorts of applications. Now, remote working isn't new, but it was fast forwarded and it did put us into a new light. And believe it or not, again, this is Ofcom data and from statista.com, very well-known resource of knowledge. There were 3 million between 98 and 2020 people working from home. Well, that's pretty much doubled, and it's not 8 million, in fact, that's a typo, but there's nearly 7 million individuals working from home in the UK alone. And that's a huge impact from COVID. And of course, it's a very new normal. So with it being the new normal, we're looking at businesses now offering software as a service. We're looking at businesses offer connectivity as a service, and of course, platform as a service. Now, one of the things that I really want you to to think about is, do you offer platform as a service? If not, why not? Have you thought about it? Let me know in the comments. Connectivity as a service. Does your existing SIM management software allow you to white label it for your end user? Again, let me know in the comments. And of course, software is now the main way of generating a lot of interest for this market. Home-based connectivity. Thanks, Karen. Good to see you. Right, okay. Biggest challenge in this industry. Thanks for the question, Karen. Biggest challenge. Well, quite timely, actually, quite timely. So we've just had challenge number 1. So going back to the first slide, just to remind people, also discussing the greatest challenges faced by IT companies and MSPs. Number 1 was home-based connectivity. Discussed a bit about that. Well, the second one, which is massively on Karen's point here, and thanks again for the question, Karen, is securing your connectivity. I don't mean securing it as in you've now got it in place. Easy. Mobile broadband, easy. But securing it, i.e. cloud infrastructure, making it resilient so that you cannot be hacked. There's no phishing. If the phishing is introduced, you've then got some sort of system, certainly software-based system, very, very unlikely to be hardware for most applications at this stage, certainly for cost-wise. But you need to make sure that you have a secure connection, and this is where private cellular networks can come into play. Private cellular networks, PCNs, there's a few people on here watching me at the moment that are very aware of what PCNs are. We are, as a wholesale MSP, an elite partner for Cradlepoint. Cradlepoint was acquired by Ericsson now nearly 2 years ago, and one of the reasons for that was because the infrastructure giant that Ericsson is wanted end user engagement through endpoints, and of course Cradlepoint was that ticket to ride, or perhaps should I say the route to their market. But that endpoint or router, however you want to term it, is in fact the key reason why they're being so successful, not just with us and partners, but across the world. We've actually got some people in Mexico online today as well, who are also Cradlepoint partners. The reason why they do so well is because Cradlepoint actually allows encrypted communication through a central system. And that central system can be made up in a number of ways. PCNs, but also encrypted communications from hub to hub. Again, if you want some more technical communication, feel free to message me or DM me on LinkedIn, and that could be for another occasion. But in terms of the pros, mobile broadband has got a lot of pros. In terms of affordability, connection speeds, reliability, of course, based down to the network. But the biggest con, of course, is the lack of security. So if you do want to make your home-based security, your home-based connectivity far more secure, then again, reach out to us as a Cradlepoint partner, and that will be the absolute solution that we would recommend. And there is, of course, a new investment level, but compared to a number of other vendors, which I won't name on this webinar, that would be the one that we would recommend at this moment in time. So thanks again, Karen, for your question. Again, guys, if you have any questions, please reach out and please ask. Challenge number 3. So moving company infrastructure to the cloud. Now, this is at the moment a real crucial element to modern business. Regardless of which industry and which vertical you sit in, it is unquestionably the most important for now. And again, I know a lot of people that have registered for this webinar, and I know a lot of people that have spoken to me before about this. They're either using AWS, maybe Microsoft Azure, and there's a whole host of other similar providers which may in fact be reselling the top 2. In our experience, despite having access to AWS, we do not go anywhere near it. It's been hacked too many times, despite their claims. We know of experience, and no doubt you guys online as well also know from experience. Again, an area where we specialise is Cradlepoint. Everything that we do on Cradlepoint is in Microsoft Azure, hasn't been hacked to date. Again, if you believe that to be untrue or you believe that to be different, please reach out in the comments because I'd love to hear your feedback. But infrastructure to the cloud is massive, and of course security and cost savings are the 2 biggest pros for this. So if you can imagine a remote company who've got one head office or maybe 2 or 3 regional offices, but in fact 80% of your workforce are remote, well, you need to guarantee you've got some sort of resilience network. And again, a few vendors that can offer it. Cradlepoint would be the one that we would recommend on this occasion, just through multiple SIMs, multiple connections, creating private networks. The list can go on. And of course, the real interesting statistic here is nearly 75% of businesses, small businesses of course, and this is internationally, have increased their use of technology. Yes, COVID has acted as a catalyst again for that as a statistic. However, it's very much real, and we as businesses need to react and help our end users and resellers and other partners to be able to facilitate this use of technology, again, underpinned by software. If you currently buy from a company that doesn't offer software, or they do offer software but it cannot be white labelled despite claims, put them to the test. Absolutely put them to the test. We used to be, so as I started off in this webinar, TARDIS were vertically focused. The reason why, and again, a little bit more about me on this particular area, the reason why we went into wholesale is because we own everything, with the exception of Cradlepoint hardware, Mikrotik hardware, which again, I think Chris from Tutela, you're on board. Hello, Chris. Chris is a guy that we know very well, very good engineer, specialises in the MIC cloud software, but it's these sorts of people that really innovate and help move the industry forward. There's other companies that are online as well. Again, without these sorts of companies, we wouldn't be moving forward. However, unless you do move forward in a particular way with a strategy that's underpinned with software, I don't believe you're going to be making that much progress, to be honest. David, hello. Thanks for your question. Is Cradlepoint a more enterprise solution? Yes, David, absolutely. Enterprise solutions are, at the moment, particularly from an enterprise perspective, or said that word perhaps too many times, but from an organisational perspective, whether you are UK and Ireland only, or perhaps across many continents, Cradlepoint is absolutely the solution that you would want for now. Certainly with up to 4 SIM cards, multiple resiliency, you can put eSIMs in there, you can create all sorts of solutions around that. Again, not a topic of conversation necessary for this webinar, but if you want some more information, then please reach out to me on email as per the banner, or of course if we are connected on LinkedIn, then either way I'm open. Thanks for the question. Number 4, right, cost control. Now, the cost of control is, again, a real challenge for a lot of businesses. And the reason why it's a challenge for businesses is because they might not necessarily understand what technology to invest in. And if you don't know the type of technology to invest in, this then becomes a challenge for you intrinsically to work out where to go forward. And that can be a big problem. Now, TARDIS, what we're trying to do is help partners and potential resellers control their costs by everything organically being ours. So with the exception of the Cradlepoints and the SIM cards, everything that TARDIS has to offer is in fact owned by us, which is why we went into the wholesale market, because we own everything. And that's different from a lot of other companies that are in the wholesale space right now. Good business models, but they do suffer without their own software. And this is again where we come into play. So cost control, from you as a partner looking in to me now and watching this webinar live or streamed later, if you are interested in understanding how you can save money on software and other value-added services, we are at the moment the only company in the UK and Europe offering such services. If you want the case studies, you want some more information, then stick around later on. They'll be sent to you by my team. And again, welcome for any more questions thereafter. But the cost control is a big issue. And a lot of companies, particularly small businesses, if you don't have investment or you don't have adequate private funding or self-funding, this is where you're going to fall over. And we can help solve that problem. So what a lot of people believe to be true is new technologies and adoption of new software and perhaps new hardwares it makes things challenging, because you then got to be really strict on where you spend the resource. Of course, in business, that's what you have to do every day. However, what we've done is enabled and actually empowered partners and resellers of all sizes. Bear in mind, we're working with some really substantial, on this, we've got Ericsson, we've got Gamma, we've got BT Wholesale, we've got a lot of companies on this webinar at the moment looking in, some big names, and these guys are dealing with us simply because we have a number of USPs. And again, cost control is a big area that we are solving. One of the questions here, one of the things actually that I've not mentioned on this webinar, and I've purposely not mentioned it just to see if anyone was to raise a question. So come on guys, let's get the engagement up. It's otherwise it's going to be a webinar, short and sweet. So come on. So at the bottom of these slides, I've got questions. Now these questions will be answered after this webinar in another pack, if of course you want it. So let me know in the comments if you're interested. Or if you answer them yourselves, then please put it in the comments. So, number 5, one of the biggest challenges now in the wholesale space is how do you find your next gen channel supplier? Well, talking as I have for the last 22, nearly 23 minutes is experience, knowledge. Is your supplier a natural marketeer? Do they have the sales ability to help you as a company perform? So let me give you a good example of that. Since the Channel Live show, which was hosted at the NEC in Birmingham at the end of March, again, a few of you on the call will know because you saw me, had a very good conversation, of course, mostly around IoT, but let's bring it back right down to basics. You are a mobile broadband company who needs to offer some sort of value add, but you have 1, maybe 2 people in your business. And of course, like every small business, you are really struggling to be in more than one place at the same time, like us all. Well, this is where the next gen wholesale provider really comes true, because one of the things that TARDIS Wholesale launched on Channel Live in March this year was a program called Dropship Data. And this is really where partners of all sizes, and I mean of all sizes, again, I can't talk about the bigger companies that we are dealing with and since have solutions with under strict agreements, but the proof is in the pudding. We've got businesses turning over 40, 50 million plus working with us to go as branded as them for all sorts of solutions. IoT, could be connectivity, could be CCTV. But again, coming back to the screen, this is where the experience is key, because dropship data program doesn't necessarily mean you're just bringing a product from, and we're ultimately a middleman. So almost box shifters. What TARDIS Wholesale is actually offering to become, and is in fact the next generation wholesale provider, is of course the experience can be white labeled. So if you are, say, reseller 1, reseller 2, you might have a specialisation around CCTV, or you might want to have a specialisation around also eSIM. Well, we would then go out as your business, branded as you. It's pretty cool, right? And of course, we're doing it. Since Channel Live, we've taken on now 19 new partners, albeit half for IoT focus, the other half for around CCTVs and SIM cards. But it's all underpinned with, you've got it, software. So, innovators. Is your current supplier an innovator, a pioneer? Are they thinking outside the box for all sorts of services? You tell me in the comments, please. Let's crack up the comments, guys. Helen, thank you for your comment. Thanks, thanks ever so much. Well, I have one question for you. What makes TARDIS stand out the most? Fantastic question. Sorry I'm a bit late on the question, Helen. I'm excited about being here, excited about talking about what TARDIS do. So in fact, I might have already answered part of your question. So one of the biggest things that makes TARDIS stand out is in fact our intellectual property. So for example, let's say that you can't actually see the company that you represent, but let's say you are Barros IT Business Solutions. Let's say that you had a particular requirement in IoT, then I, Matt, would then go out as Barros IT Solutions to your customer. They don't know who I am, but of course I know what they want from you. And this is the benefit to a next-gen wholesale supplier. So you don't only benefit from the software, the SIM cards, the routers, the cameras, the installation, you also get the benefit of intellectual property. And that is our biggest USP. So far, since Channel Live, as I say, approaching 20 new partners. Still to this day, no one's copied us, which is great, but no doubt it will happen soon enough. But we were the first ones. Right, can you guys see the slide still? On the right, we've got solid agreements with MNOs, major network operators. Now, we have come unstuck before with SIM cards. There's a few of you on this webinar today where, in fact, we suffer with, on one occasion, nearly 200 SIMs that were shut off. Boy, was that painful. That was painful. But we took it on the chin. We understood where we went wrong, and thankfully it wasn't on our side. It was through poor administration elsewhere. However, does your partner, does your supplier have those strict agreements in place? Ask the question. Kind of double up here with the points. So concise contracts between your partners. Make sure that whatever you get from your MNO, if you're lucky to get one from an MNO, mind you, make sure you don't duplicate like for like, edit it in ways that suits your business, but make sure it's underpinned with the same fundamental terms, because that way you protect your business. Two-way partnerships. Now, one of the things that TARDIS really works hard on is people buy from people. There will be people on this webinar that are logging in just to look at me, just to see what we're doing, fine. However, there'll also be people on this webinar that genuinely buy into Matt, buy into TARDIS. Thank you guys for that, and thank you girls for that. And of course, that's really exciting. But what we try and do is, if we are able to be in a position where we can in fact buy from you as well, then we will do. But underpin with software. And again, because we have half a dozen in-house software coders, we've got a couple of UX designers as well. This is where the white label really comes into its own. Really exciting stuff. I absolutely love it. Second to last, penultimate, good trading track record. Unfortunately this week, and it's all over LinkedIn, won't mention the company names, but those that are logged in probably will know who they are. But there have already been some redundancies and companies now with administration in the telecom space. That's not the kind of news that we want to hear, right? However, it's happening, and it's happening because they're not trading and they're not performing well. Well, make sure your supplier is not in that same position. Again, feel free to check TARDIS, be my guest. Google reviews for genuine feedback. Now this is massive. And I say it's massive in that way because it really is. How many times have you been engaging with a company and of course they're just typed out testimonials, typed out this, typed out, reviews. There's no substantiator. There's no concrete evidence of, yeah, these guys are good. Again, check out TARDIS and Google. You might find a few testimonials. Moving on. Now, this was taken by this part of the content is not TARDIS owned. This content is through a wholesale billing software provider who some of you on the call might even in fact recognise the quote. But Sam, she's a product owner, and what she's saying is B2B customers, that's business to business trade customers, they want to work with partners who understand their problems, understand their realities, but at the same time solve their biggest pain points. Of course, from our perspective, we also want to solve the smaller pain points. But ultimately, they do need greater personalisation. And the personalisation, again, comes from white labelling software, which, again, we're specialising in. Next slide. Actually, before I go to this slide, have we got any other questions at this stage? We've been live now for just beyond half hour, guys and girls. Any further questions at this stage? Do I need to cover any other areas again? I'll give you... Hi, Jack. Thanks for the question. Scaling in telecom. Right, Jack, really good question. So scaling in telecoms now is the real differentiator between who succeeds and who doesn't succeed. It could even be that those companies that have not performed very well recently and they're now in administration have in fact just tried to do the norm and not innovated. Don't know enough about those businesses, can't pass judgment. However, to avoid that, think about IoT. Let's say, Jack, again, can't see on the, where you're from on this occasion, but let's say that you are eyed telecoms and you only do mobile broadband for smart homes, or just for homes, sorry, just for homes. Well, let's say a differentiator for you could be, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we're now going to offer you some sensors. Oh, what do they do, Jack? Well, we can sense your white goods. We can sense your security for your doors and your windows. The list is endless. Even your heating. Think about Hive. Think about all these smart features and all these smart products that are coming to market through the big boys. They weren't necessarily started by the big companies. Hive may be an exception, but think about all the other businesses out there in the market that are doing something different. Well, they can be underpinned again with software, but is it white labelled or is it their own? Again, do the research, ask it. But that's a very good area. Again, thanks for the question, Jack. But that's a very good way of making extra revenue, recurring revenue, sensors. Look at sensors. Again, if you go to TitusWholesale.com and you go over to the wholesale portal drop-down, you will see that we've got some hybrid solutions available. Some with Cradlepoint, which is wireless WAN. That is an underpinning technology for mobile, which then gives us part of our hybrid LoRaWAN solutions. And I think we've just passed 1 billion records, something like that. And again, it's because IoT is big data. And again, we've got software to handle it. Does your current provider? Who knows? Message me again in DMs or email me. Right, next slide. So we've got 6 key areas here. We've got B2B versus B2C. So it's business to business versus business to consumer. We've got adapting your business model, digitizing your sales channel. Demand, demand, demand. We all like demand. Customer experiences and of course self-serve digital. In the comments quickly, does anyone recognise any of those? 10 seconds. Can say no, can say yes, doesn't matter. I'll take that as a no for now, so I will continue. So without going into too much detail again about COVID, but let's be honest, it really pushed forward on the B2B e-commerce. To give you an example, we've got resellers on our books as of today that have been now for about best part of 2 years, and they're now not just selling to B2C, they're also encouraging B2E, which is a fairly new term. Again, I read it somewhere about 2 months ago, B2E, which is business to everyone. It's a new term which is going to become more common in this industry. However, very important. If your products and services is not the same, regardless of where you're selling, problem. And again, supported by software. You need to have the software that underpins to help you leverage external third-party markets. Adapting the business model. Now, an area which we have yet to do on the Titus Wholesale website, I admit, but we're building it, is a live chat engine. So for example, Helen, take you as an example, David or Jack or Karen, you guys are visiting, let's say your own website. Does your own website have a live pop-up? Hi Helen, hi David, how can I help you today? It's really small, but humans love live communication. And there's a lot of platforms out there that specialise in this kind of setup, but just stay away from bots. If it's the one thing to take away from this particular slide, don't use bots, because humans, it's now been in the market for, I would say, best part of even 15 years, maybe only become mainstream in the last, say, 5 or 6 or 7. However, people very quickly switch on to bots. And me personally, I don't like it, I turn off. I then don't go back to that website. So if you do enter into web chat, make sure someone within the company, office admin, someone in support, say even in sales or business development, can then actually be live on the chat with you or with your customer. Digitizing your sales channel. Now, this is an obvious one. But how many of you are digitizing? For me, I like visiting places. I like to visit customers. I like very much F2F, face-to-face, or H2H as I call it, human to human. Business is all about people, interactions, and whether you get on with someone. Agree? If you don't agree, again, in the comments, I'd love to hear your views. But generally speaking, face-to-face is great. However, to digitize your business and to actually digitize your sales channel, one key area for doing that is, of course, virtual meetings. The amount of money in fuel, hotels, more family time for those that have families, the list could go on. Or even for the Euros at the moment with the women, you know, if you've got face-to-face meeting now and you're not local, You've then got to drive and perhaps listen to it on the radio. So, yeah, always consider that one. Self-serve digital. So this is, I would say, one of the greatest USPs a partner could have. And it's around, again, connectivity as a service. So again, most people that have registered for this webinar and most people that are at the moment on this webinar, from what I can see, are all around connectivity. Now, connectivity is great. Of course, without it, we can't really do much. Even your fridge freezer from Samsung, still reporting back with an eSIM. How many of you guys knew that? Maybe we do learn something today. If that's it, then fair enough. But we need to be building our own. Are you guys building your own yet? Or are you just simply allowing someone else to have some sort of mobile dashboard? You know, again, you tell me in the comments what you're currently doing, but you do need to digitize your self-serve so that customers have, in fact, the ability to serve themselves. A quick fact on the screen for you. I'll let you digest that for 10 seconds. Again, any comments, any questions, feel free to get in the comment box. I'd love to hear your views. So 75% of customers want a DIY software suite. Does that mean we go to B&Q or visit DIY.com? Don't think so. Does it mean you need to build it yourself to do it yourself? No, of course not. Thailand's have done it. The other stat, of course, is 4 out of 10 customers want, in fact, to self-serve because they don't want to speak with a human. Now, that's interesting. Again, COVID. So go back to the points. Customer experiences. Based on these 2 stats here, is then customer experience important? Well, must be. But if you don't have software that enables that stat or those 2 stats, how are you supposed to give your customers a good experience? How are you supposed to leverage the digitization? You haven't got it yet. Unless your customers are on your customer charter an 8 out of 10, even if they don't say that they are looking elsewhere, they will in fact be looking elsewhere. Why? Because we are a partner. We offer solutions to now, you know, really humble to say, but a lot of businesses in various markets, and we get told all sorts of things that we shouldn't. We're not necessarily operating in the same way, of course, but it's interesting that if they don't have a good experience, they are looking. And if there's software involved, again, we've won a lot of business from other companies that are established in this market because of software. It's a massive part which a lot of companies become complacent with. Demand, demand, demand. Now, there's always going to be demand for connectivity. There's always going to be demand for mobile services, fixed line services. For us at the moment, fixed line isn't really of interest. And of course, our partner base and our client base recognise that too. But is your current SIM supplier innovating with different features? Are they doing things to add extra value, but for no extra cost? That's the biggest thing that we're really trying to push on here, is that the companies that we've taken on this channel live have come to us from the show because they can see that we're innovating, they can see that we're making change, they can see that we're trying to really pioneer and offer value adds. And again, looking at the businesses that we've had since the show, we're in a really proud position. But it's because we're doing all those things. We're not complacent, we're proactive. If you go back to the first slide, let's just rekindle that. How COVID has changed B2B. Self-serve, I've alluded to already before. But proactive. How proactive are you? How proactive is your supplier? I know the answer to that because I used to be in your position and still am in some cases. But again, in the comments, it'd be good to find out and good to learn where you guys are. Customers are digital. Is your customer service? I'll let you to think about it. If you've got any comments on that, or you'd like to highlight anything, then please in the comments, it would be great. If you want me to cover over anything else, again, please in the comments. It'll be really good to hear some feedback. It'll be really good to know what else you guys want me to cover. If there's anything on Cradlepoint, if there's anything on any vendors, again, I'll give you 10 seconds or so just to have a think and type out a message. Sorry, baby alarm, apologies. Right, no comments, okay, fine. So we've got 3 quotes, Gartner, McKinsey and BBC. So in Gartner's view, the rise of 5G networks and connected machines is going to be, well, it will enable virtual on-the-go workstations. Sorry. Apologies. McKinsey, 75% of first-time digital channel users will in fact continue to use them when things return to normal. Now, that's probably, out of all of them, the biggest statement out there. Reason being, from what I've researched and what I found. But the reason is, even though COVID has forced change, only a quarter of people are likely to think about going back to before. So, proof's in the pudding. If you're digitising, it has to have a software element. No other way around it. Absolutely has to. The BBC, businesses will need to create digital workplaces that make it easier for all kinds of employees to work in flexible environments while also living their lives. So again, mobile broadband, mobile connectivity. Let's go back to the first slide, or one of the first slides. Home-based connectivity. Based on what the BBC are saying, unless you are unless you're at home with some sort of private cellular network, which can be underpinned through all sorts of vendors, but perhaps Cradlepoint, then your business or your partner or your supplier has to have some sort of operational capacity to in fact manage it. IP addressing, website categorization, you name it, it can be achieved, but it has, of course, also have to have some sort of cyber element, cyber security element. Well, based on what the BBC are talking about, that's very much going to be the case. And it's down to you as a partner, as a provider, as a VAR, MSP, ISP, what value add, regardless of where you are you bringing to the table for your partners and for your customers? Well, I've got through it a lot quicker than I anticipated, just simply because engagement has been lower than anticipated. However, I'll give you a couple of minutes. Thanks for watching, by the way. I've been Matt Mimo. If you have any questions, have any comments, then put them in the comments for now. And if I can answer them, then I will do. Or if you'd prefer, email me at matt@tardis.uk.com. And also you have LinkedIn. So for now, guys, that's where to find us on the screen. Scan my QR code to take you to my LinkedIn profile, if that's what you'd like to do. I'll wait for the questions to come in for a couple of minutes. And again, yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. Has anyone got any opportunities at the moment that they believe we could add value on? Does anyone have any issues with existing suppliers that they believe need to be resolved and they want some advice on how to do that? No? Okay. Well, guys, thanks again for your time. Thanks for watching. My name's Matt Mimo. I'm the founder of TARDIS Wholesale, and we're really, really pleased with where we are, really pleased with where we're going, and with the existing partner chain that we've got and the solutions available, we're definitely going to be a unicorn supplier for the channel. If you would like any more information, then wait for the testimonials and wait for the case studies. I will be answering the questions on some of these slides, well, on all the slides. So we've got, how do RT businesses and telecom resellers differ from a seemingly saturated market? Question 2, we've got, how can clients better manage their mobile connections? Question 3, how do resellers offer secure and managed alternatives cost effectively? Question 4, how does a partner support its client base with cloud technology? And we've got, how does a partner go about offering a subscription-based service? I'll be answering all these questions in some detail Here we go, Paul. Thanks for your question, Paul. Thanks for the comment. Fantastic. Appreciate you watching, Paul. Thanks for your time. I hope business is good and look forward to receiving your email. Yeah, stick around, guys, if you've got any more questions. But for me, at this moment in time, there's nothing else for me to add. So feel free to email me, visit the website, scan the QR code, and thanks for watching. See you on the next one.